in terms of interconnecting.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that one thing this conference will help me do is find ways to continue to grow that project and maybe to keep in contact with some of you about ideas that you have. And I think all of us are probably inspired to action because of the humanness of the conference as well as the actual information.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that, Carolyn. It was very intentional, and the terminology that we like to use is a co-creative, emergent design process. And so it's not that you don't prepare and stock your mental field and get ready and you have speakers and panels and all of that, but within all of that, organic, you named it, it's a co-creative, emergent design process, because who knows what's best in the next second or what needs to come forth until we're all in the room together. So we create the container together. Thank you for acknowledging that. Radical action. Yes, it is.
The action of the future of a society that will work, in my humble opinion.
And on this co-emergence, also a mutual friend of ours, James Ledee, says we're co-mentors with one another.
Right.
We're in this process of the human family learning how to really live and embody peace in all the different levels. And this co-emergence, you know, I was just so moved when sending that text and I get this response from the United Nations. I hit this web link and it's like, boom, there's a letter I can send to my congresspeople. I mean, we're in an age where we can't even envision what it's going to be like, because we're in this, we can start to envision, but it's going to be different than we can imagine. And with the modern technology, the possibilities with the vibrancy of the youth and the the intergenerational, I am so curious what this world's going to look like. You know, there's the capitalism, socialism part. You know, I'm in a company that is looking at how do we be profitable and have social impact. And I know this place works at that balance. And there's more and more people, so how are we going to have a green economy? So anyway, this co-emergence, yes. And this was a wonderful example of it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bardette Wardell. I'm a friend of James O'Dee's as well. Love him from IONS. And I have done peace meditations here in this room. I'm in my 70s now, but when I was in my 40s and 50s, we did international peace meditations in this room with Jerome and Sandra. And so I've been working on peace for a long time. Did a project. I was also trained at Rhode Island School of Design as a designer, which is a different way of looking at the world. And I would like to say to you that the arts I have seen as I became an educator with youth at risk have changed people's lives so dramatically, not because they came out blowing glass, but because they were able to make something that was successful, that came out of the deepest part of themselves. And so I am not saying you have to be a painter, but a lot of my students who are youth at risk have ended up becoming amazingly successful in other types of careers. To then tie into what you're speaking about with the youth, I had a visit from my 6-year-old grandchild who lives in New York City, very busy, and I put this book out. This is from 1995. It's put out by UNICEF. A couple was hired to go around the world and take pictures of children in their settings from all the different countries. And she sat there, I was busy, and she looked at every page. And she was not able to read everything, I don't think, but she saw who the children are in this world. They're from China, they're from Africa, they're from all the different places. And so I said, I better look at this book. And as I looked at it, I said, oh, now wait a minute. This person's from China. This person is from a place that I have no idea what it's like to be a child there. And it's in 1995. But I feel that it is time for UNICEF or another organization to do it over again. Because there was a 6-year-old child getting the message before she made a decision, before, as in school. And for me, my heart warmed as I looked at this. I'll leave it out for a while.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
important.
you. It is important, and we all walk the path of beauty. It's the most inspiring thing on the planet. Thank you.
There's a lot of people here. I'm a wayward Patty. I'll say that I just unilaterally decided to not call it youth and the future of peace. I think it's young adults and the future of peace.
Exactly.
And the present of peace, and peace in the present.
Peace in the present.
Peace in the present.
I'm on the board of Mohonk Consultations, and I'm part of the Smiley family.
Right up to you now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, the only thing I would add to this conversation is I once went for 4 hours to Ellis Island with one of my best friends, probably 10 years ago. My life will never be the same. It is a living history, films, stories. You get things you put on your ears to hear people's stories, costumes, all kinds of wicker baskets that people took all their belongings across the oceans to come to the United States. And if you learn anything from that collection of living history, is that America is a place for immigrants. America saved so many families. And you understand how many millions and millions of people came here in order to survive. And it speaks not just to the latter part of the 19th century and the first decades of the 20th century, but now is still a sanctuary and a place where people can find peace. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Connie. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I'm just going to say kind of out here, Gregory, if you have anything you'd like to say, feel free to come up and join me and Philip in the next minute or two.
Yeah, there's Nancy who was doing a lot of work. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have two. We're going to go with two more.
Hi. We were going to be talking about our takeaways, and I think probably all of us have very long lists of them, but there are a couple I want to express. One is echoing something Masuma said yesterday in the breakout that's made me really think a lot in the last 24 hours. She said that at the UN, today we're doing these mindfulness practices where we stop and pause and close our eyes and breathe for a while. But when I'm at the UN doing this work, I can tell you that never happens. And I feel that that's so true in so many collectives of people that I go into. We go into the world and we learn all these amazing practices, and when do we actually use them? So thank you so much for saying that so I could think about it. And one practice is to introduce yourself with your pronouns, she, her, hers. I never do this unless I'm in a TGNC LGBTQ environment, so I'm doing it here, and that's also thanks to Isabella, which is my second takeaway. I want, in the spirit of deep listening, you to know that what you said about the faces you see when you look out here is really heard. And this is something we know we need to work on, and we are talking about it. And the young panel, thank you so much for the reminder that the present is intersectional, as is the future, as is the past. And when we bring a group together, we want that group to be a rainbow. So thank you so much for really laying that out there on the table. And then one more thing I want to say is I've been carrying a book around thinking I'd get to sit and read while I was here, which is always so funny. It's How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. And this book, the title of it really reiterates something that was said the other day, which is that peace is not the absence of conflict or nonviolence. It's a very proactive building. It's something we construct. And that is also true when we are fighting racism. It's not enough to be not racist. So a question I would have for us as we move into the future events is how do we create anti-racist events and events that advocate for indigenous populations and so forth. So I'll leave with that question and look forward to hearing from Greg. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Heart Phoenix, we're going to invite you up before we turn it back to Brad. You want one?
One quick thing, Kitty?
Okay.
I cannot believe how perfectly the comments in this room have led to what I would like to say, which is that I couldn't join you yesterday because I was at an anti-racist march held in town. However, thanks to the extraordinary organization of the committee that has been planning this peace conference for almost 3 years now, Brad, Lorraine, Sandra, Nancy, who?
Dot.
I was able to stream quite a lot of it yesterday. So while I was carrying my sign, just before I left home, I was able to catch quite a lot of what you were doing yesterday. My sign was a quote from Congressman John Lewis, who many of you may remember from the very early civil rights movement, but also crossed the Selma Bridge again with President Obama just a few years ago. And my quote said, "We may have come here on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now." So in that spirit, I just want to say I'm so grateful for the texting alert. Congressman Lewis and my Congressman Delgado, and probably many of the Congress people, of the people in this room, have already passed the Climate Action Now bill. It's HR Bill number 6. Guess where it stalled, right? So the action that I'm going to try to take next, with some trepidation, is to reach out to my family in Florida and Texas and the states where I think senators have to understand that this boat that we're all in now is going to sink if they don't do something soon. I can't thank you all enough for the hope and the inspiration that you've given to me to take that step with my family and to know that we're all part of what is going to help that boat rise up again.
Bless you, Kitty. Heart Phoenix, will you join us up here? Oh, but you come up
Yeah.
and so face
So
everybody.
I actually asked if I could
Perfect.
end the session with a song that I'd love to share, bringing us from here to beyond the beyond. So it goes like this. Remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour. It's orbiting at 90 miles a second, so it's reckoned a sun that is the source of all our power. The sun and you and me and all the stars that we can see are moving at 100 miles a day. In and out a spiral arm at 40,000 miles an hour in a galaxy they call the Milky Way. The Milky Way. Our galaxy contains 100 million stars. That's 100,000 light years side to side. It bulges in the middle, 16,000 light years thick, but out by us it's just 3,000 light years wide. We're 30,000 light years from galactic central point. We go around every 200 million years. And this galaxy is only one of billions and billions in this amazing and expanding universe. Expanding universe. The universe itself keeps on expanding and expanding in all of the directions it can whiz. As fast as it can go at the speed of light, 12 million miles a minute, and that's the fastest speed there is. So remember, when you're feeling so sad and insecure, how amazingly unlikely is your birth. And sink your wrist deep into the galaxy, dance your life on planet Earth. You sink your wrist deep into reality, dance your life on planet Earth.
Okay. Wow, what a weekend. Thanks to everybody who was part of it. I'm going to wrap this up real quickly because enough has been said already. We will continue what has happened here on April 5th next year when we have a Sunday afternoon forum that's a follow-up to this in a very kind of practical, solution-oriented way. So if you want to be involved or you have a suggestion about how we should do it, please get in touch. The streaming that Kitty referred to will be on our website really soon. I think right now there's already a link to the whole video of the conference yesterday, but each speaker's clip will be available separately. And Patty, video recorded today, that'll find its way up there once Nancy gets it there. Please fill out the evaluations form that's in your packet, and also the contact form. And in terms of sustainability, if you want to recycle the name tag holder that's hanging around your neck, just leave it on the registration table. So many thanks, Doc, you're incredible. Nina, I was really kind of inspired 2 years ago by how you initially conceived the scope of this. You also were generous in your support.